Oh, hello guys! We are back! It has been so long since you sat down to do a little chat. I'm so excited. It's been a hot minute since we first got married.
It's been a minute.
Basically. But we got him in the seat today. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Very excited. Because today we are talking about how we knew we
wanted to have
were ready to
make out.
Date.
Oh.
Just like date in general, not date each other. Just like how we knew as human beings
That we were
ready, capable, it was going to be a good life decision for us to date, to go on a few dates. Man, give us some updates. It's been so long. Honestly, Elijah's the reason that I've even been making videos. I know.
The truth comes out.
I know.
Who would have thought? We just bust this camera out and you just start speaking truth all of a sudden.
I know.
Oh,
he
my
bought me
word.
a camera for Christmas.
Oh, wow. An expensive one, by the way.
It was very nice of him. And he told me you need to start doing videos. So, here we are, doing videos.
What a good husband.
Good husband. Okay, how did you know?
I couldn't tell you. I'm just
Aren't we
kidding.
glad he's here?
No, I'm just kidding. I knew I was ready to date when I knew that I could date myself well. And on top of that, I knew that I was ready to date when, I don't know, for me, it kind of was like, I had a list of things that I wanted to work on before actually getting in a relationship. For example, one of them would be being by myself. Like, I could never be alone by myself before dating. Like, I just always needed to be around someone, needed to be doing something. I couldn't just sit in boredom or silence with myself. And so that was kind of one of the bigger things that I went through before dating, was just, and it honestly sounds stupid, but it was such a challenge, just even like going for a walk or by myself or sitting in the room with nothing to do and just loving myself there. I think it's so easy for us to distract ourselves. Yeah, just to fill our time.
Yeah, well, it's
but
hard.
I recognize that as like a
Because it
weakness
was like an
in me.
escape. Because
Yeah.
you could escape from emotions that were
Exactly.
inside of you.
And so I didn't want to be in a relationship having to escape. I wanted to be able to...
Having it be like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to go through a relationship and, you know, if we had an argument or a fight, to be able to know that, hey, I can figure this out. You know, I can actually sit down and have a conversation. I don't necessarily, you know, need to run away. Or
like your
need
internal
to,
world is stable.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, there was a lot of other stuff that I needed to figure out, but that was just one of the things.
What was the key thing?
Yeah, probably was the key thing. But the biggest thing for me was I wasn't going to date you until I knew that I could do a good job. And a good job looked like taking care of your heart, not going past your boundaries, like dating. You know, it didn't have to be perfect, but it had to be excellent. You know, I needed to date with excellence.
Elijah would always tell me when we were dating, like, he was like, my job is, or maybe not when we were dating, but at some point in a relationship, he would say, like, my job is to leave you better off than I found you. So how can I treat you? How can I make sure that I'm in a place where I can treat you and leave you off better than I found you? Meaning, like, loving you well, loving you to a place where you even find healing and wholeness in your own journey. And I would say that was like huge for me in our dating. I think, interesting enough, so when we had come to terms with the fact that we were interested in each other, I had like approached Elijah. It's a whole story. Maybe we'll share it a different time. But I knew there had been interest previously, like months previously. I had like shut it down and been like, no, I don't like him. But secretly inside I was like dying. I was really interested. And long story short, I eventually approached Elijah, told him how I was actually feeling. And in that conversation, he told me, actually, like, I think you're amazing. I really like you, but I actually can't pursue you for a couple more months. And for me, I was like, oh, great. Like, I actually felt like that feels really good. We're really good friends. I actually don't want to lose this relationship. Like, I'm really good with keeping it as it is. I just need to make sure all my cards are on the table. I need to make sure I'm honest and truthful with you. And so, but in those couple months, it was like, okay, am I in a good space to be able to do this? Like, do I feel like I can do a really good job? It was kind of like your own journey in those couple months of like figuring out.
Yeah, and dating doesn't have to be high stakes.
Yeah.
It can be super low stakes. We didn't kiss until 6-7 months in. We didn't hold hands. We didn't do a lot of things that people do on the first day of dating because they're finally dating.
Yeah.
So it was a priority to me that I become your friend before I'm intimate with you.
Yeah.
Because I know for myself, it's super easy for me to be intimate before I'm actually emotionally. Yeah. No, physically
intimate
before
you were
I was emotionally intimate.
Yeah.
That just has been my past, and that's just my natural is just to be physical. And so for me in this season, it was like, okay, I've left girls off, in situations that I didn't want to leave them off in, obviously vice versa from them to me, but I don't want to have to do that anymore. It's not actually worth being in a relationship knowing that, hey, you know what? Let's date even though I know that that I know that this isn't going to work and we're going to leave each other worse off than we found each other.
Well, and so kind of just getting needs met from each other.
Right. And so for me, it was like, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you, but this is what that looks like. It looks like not holding hands right away. It looks like taking you out on dates. It looks like defining everything that we're doing, giving a meaning for everything that we're doing.
And by that you mean like
why are we holding hands? Why are we kissing? Why are we making out in the car?
What's the meaning behind that?
Yeah, why am I taking you out? Because I think it's so easy nowadays to just do it. And the excuse is, well, we're dating. And everyone kind of falls into that, well, we're just dating, instead of actually giving a meaning behind, no, we're holding hands because whatever reason.
Yeah, like I was going to say, for example, like when Elijah held my hand for the first time, I remember him saying, I'm ready to hold your hand. Do you feel ready? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, hold my hand. And we'd been dating for a couple months, and he said, so like holding your hands to me means that I'm really committed to being in this relationship with you. Like I really like you. It wasn't like, oh, we're kind of dating. It was like, no, I'm really committed to dating you. And so, and for me, that built so much trust with Elijah, especially because I knew his past and I knew his story, that small little thing meant so much. It meant like, oh, he had done the work. He had gotten to a place with his own self to be able to step into a relationship where he can have self-control and can be okay not getting those needs met through me. And I would say for myself, kind of similarly, like I don't have the same exact story as Lije, but one huge thing for me is that I didn't feel pressure like I had to be in a relationship. Like I wasn't stepping into a relationship because all of my friends were dating a guy and it was like the hot thing and they always had some cool, exciting, thrilling story to talk about. Like I wasn't doing it to fit in with other people, or even because I felt pressure from other people, like, you guys would be so cute together, like, you just have so much chemistry, but really knowing, like, this is my own personal decision. And I think that's even why it took me so many months to even get to a place where I was like, I'm ready to tell Elijah how my heart actually feels about him, is I didn't have all these other voices with their opinions or anything just pressuring me into a relationship with somebody that I wasn't even sure who they were. Biggest thing for me was loving myself, and kind of like you said, like dating yourself well. I feel like that was a journey that I had started, and I mean, it's a process of life of learning to love myself really well. I don't even know if I was at an excellent spot when we started dating, but I was at a spot where I was like, I really love myself. Like, I would be okay if this didn't work out,
right.
or if this does work out. I took, like you said, the stakes were low. Like, it's okay if this isn't my future husband, and I just learn from being in this relationship things I didn't know about myself, or ways to do relationship really well. So that was another thing, and that was hard for me, learning to be so okay with myself that I could be vulnerable with you in our relationship was incredibly hard for me. Like, that was probably the hardest part of even our relationship, was being so okay with who I was that I was able to be open and honest and share that with Elijah. Well, kind of piggybacking on the loving myself well and being able to be open and vulnerable, is that this wasn't how it was when I first stepped into the relationship.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, oh my goodness, I had to become so okay because of the circumstances in my life in that season with not being perfect and not being okay. And I think we're talking so much about how, like, Lije's like, I had to know I could do a really good job. I had to know that I could be a mess, and it was going to be okay. So I didn't have to put a fake smile on. I could have hard days, and I didn't know that. When I walked into dating Elijah, I was in a really hard season for a lot of variety of reasons. Stuff with my family, stuff with my own physical body. Like, it was just a super challenging season for me. Felt like my world was kind of like crumbling to the ground, and I didn't want to confront the pain in my life. And so it was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in this dating relationship where I should be perfect, and this is the best he's ever going to see of me, because that's what everyone tells you.
This is it.
Yeah, like,
Get ready.
I had to be on my absolute A game. And I will never, ever, ever forget the day where Elijah was like trying to get me to open up and just like, you know, be vulnerable and be honest with me. Like, I want to be brought into your process, whatever you're going through. And it was just like, I couldn't do it. Like, I could always tell him after the fact, like, how I had been feeling, or how I cried myself to sleep, or whatever the thing was, but I couldn't just like pick up the phone and be like, I'm having a really hard time. I felt like I had to work myself through it. So, but Elijah just looked at me and told me, Alley, if you have a hard day every day for the rest of this year, it would be okay. And that was like such a shift for me. It was just like massive and huge, of like, I don't have to be perfect, and that's okay.
That's okay.
But that's a wrap. But I hope that makes sense. We can do
it part 2.
We'll do a part 2. And I see this being a series, like how I knew I was ready to be engaged, how we knew we were ready to get married, how we knew we were ready, all the different steps in the relationship. So stay tuned, folks. Over and out. Say goodbye to your fans.
Goodbye.